sometimes as psychology.
I think the price of the cost as one of the many
was a God experience. Wanted to find God, simply feeling like you're in fire. It is always so. Tell us about the solution.
as one of
People continue to pay 5 years of age, not out of work.
Hey, I don't have the skills for this particular problem to solve this particular problem.
None of us talked about the bread salad.
Hello, welcome to another episode of The Heart of the Matter. My name is Omilola Oshikoya. Today we're talking about an issue that most women face, and we have with us Titi Medunoye, a lactation consultant and founder of Milkyexpress, and also Dolapo Onichidrade, an actor and a presenter and producer. Hi ladies.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
And congratulations, you're both new moms.
Yes.
How old is your son?
He's 5 months, he'll be 6 months in 2 weeks.
And your son as
He's
well?
5 months, he'll be 6 months tomorrow.
Oh wow, okay,
Very close.
Invite us when they are born.
We will.
Okay, awesome. So we're talking about breastfeeding and lactation. So let's start with you, Titi. What is a lactation consultant? I think you're probably the only one I know in Nigeria.
Yes, I am the only one in Nigeria at the moment.
Wow.
So as a lactation consultant, I work via Milkyexpress, that's the name of the company, and the company...
Sorry, I said Milky Way Express.
Yes.
For chocolate. Sorry. Go ahead.
So Milkyexpress is pretty much set up to help women, navigate through the breastfeeding period, from teaching them how to breastfeed, to discussing with them when they have issues breastfeeding, to even discussing with them when some of them go through postpartum depression, and then even making products that can actually help you lactate better.
Okay, so why did you decide? Is this what you've been doing all your life?
No, who
did you
starts
decide?
out thinking they're going to be involved in breasts? I can say that, right? Okay, so no, obviously, I studied economics, so I was going to be, I was thinking, okay, so first of all, I wanted to be an environmental economics, and then I changed it to petroleum economics and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, I had my daughter in 2014, and when I became pregnant, it was a tough pregnancy. I must say it was a difficult pregnancy. And I just had it in my mind that, okay, you know what? After the baby, when the baby comes, everything is going to be easier. It's going to end. It's going to be fantastic and wonderful and beautiful. But it wasn't like that. And I really didn't have any, prior information. Most people would tell me, are you going to do exclusive? Make sure you do exclusive, is the best for your baby. And I really wanted to, but nobody ever said to me that, Titi, it's possible that you will not breastfeed. Because you have breast doesn't mean that you can breastfeed. Nobody said that to me. So when I had my daughter, I had terrible issues breastfeeding. I had latch issues, I had nipple issues, I wasn't lactating properly, so it was a tough time. And I wasn't in the country at that time, so I was able to meet with a lactation consultant. It was at that point I realized that there are people who are actually, certified and professional lactation consultants. So I worked with her for a period of time until, I was finally able to start to breastfeed. I started to breastfeed my daughter when she was almost 3 months.
Let's even talk about, so even before we talk about breastfeeding, you recently shared a testimony about pregnancy.
Yes.
You had a difficult pregnancy as well.
Yes, I
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah,
a little bit?
so, got pregnant, I was ecstatic, really, really happy. But the long and short of the story is that I was bleeding throughout my whole pregnancy. Wow. So I had a lot of fear when, the first time I bled, it was like a lot of blood. It was like I was having a period. Wow. So I just assumed, I was 10 weeks pregnant, I was in London for a checkup, and I assumed I was having a miscarriage. But thank God I wasn't. And then it stopped. They just said there was a pocket of blood. It had nothing to do with the baby. And then every few weeks I would bleed again. Not as bad as the first time, but spots of blood. It was like I was spotting on and off. And, there were just times where I would go to the toilet and it would just, panic was sort of set in because you don't know. You can't say every time you're bleeding, it's nothing wrong. It's clearly an indication something is wrong. But they just told me just to take things easy, and luckily it had nothing to do with the baby. But yeah, that's what I went through. I know.
The things we women go through
honestly,
well, and no one really preres you for it. No one talks about it. So it comes like a shock.
Here's the baby.
I think my own shock, as silly as this will sound, was when I remember my first child, when I had the baby, and my tummy wouldn't go back.
Oh.
And so I don't think I had been around any pregnant woman, you know, so I was like, what's wrong with this? What's this? What's going
Why
on
would
here?
you go back?
Is there
And
another
then, you know,
baby in there?
It was black, and then I had stretch marks.
Mine's still black. I just want to put that out there, okay? It takes time.
It does.
It takes
honestly.
time.
So it's amazing that, you know, now it's okay to have these kinds of conversations. So breastfeeding, how has that been for you?
Okay, so for me, I had to have an emergency C-section. I was in labor for 2 days. And then, so there's the whole healing process. So, but when you're still in the hospital, because I was in hospital for, I think, 2 to 3 days afterwards, they would bring the baby to me. And, you know, the first time they put him on my nipple and all that kind of stuff. And they said, you know, put his nose to the nipple so he can smell the milk and all of that. And you know that at the beginning it's colostrum that comes out. Which is this like fatty liquid. It's not actually milk, excuse me, because it takes a few days for your milk to come in. And I just remember my husband sleeping on the sofa, me lying in the bed, and I must have been on some sort of medication to sleep or something because I was knocked out, and he was trying to wake me up because our son was screaming his head off from hunger. And my husband was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And then we were both trying to feed him and nothing was coming out. So for me, at that moment, one of the midwives came in and I actually had to use a syringe to collect the colostrum. It's like he wasn't able to latch. That was the issue. So I had to use a syringe to get the colostrum in and then try and feed him with the syringe. And then that was okay. Then the milk came in like the day later. Then when I went home, he would latch sometimes, wouldn't latch. So the first 10 days to 2 weeks, he lost weight. They say when you have a newborn, the first week they lose weight, they can lose up to 10%. But if it's more than that, there's going to be concerns. So they came and he lost 7%, but he was a big baby. He was over 9 pounds. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So they weighed him and he lost 7%. So they were like, okay, we're going to have to come next week. And if he's still losing more weight, we're going to have to take you in. And so I started getting concerned. Am I a bad mom? What am I going to do? But I was adamant that I didn't want to give him formula. Obviously, if he lost more weight, I would have given him formula. But I just, you know, there was this whole campaign of breast is best and all that kind of stuff. So I really, I tried everything. I would just, you know, if they say first you don't succeed, try again. I had sore nipples. At one point, one of it was bleeding. It took like 3 weeks for me to get in my stride. So milk wasn't really my issue. It was more about my son latching on. So, but then after that, and I'm still breastfeeding now. So.
Okay, so the question I'd like to ask is, so how rampant is this? Because is it just a function of, you know, you had your tough 3 weeks, but for some people, they could have given up at that point. Yeah. Or is it that, so people are not patient enough to, you know, go through the motion until you can get it right, or some people actually have issues with it and it's really difficult for them?
Well, yes, true. So some people are not patient enough to go through the motions, obviously because it's difficult. You just had a baby, hormones are crazy. If you had to have a C-section, you're trying to get yourself, you know, to feel better. So like, the pressure is a lot on a new mom, you know, so it's hard to push hard to say, you know, keep at it. But there are also people who, no matter how much they keep at it, it is going to be a very difficult process. What I've learned in my line of study is that as a breastfeeding mother or as a woman, because you have breasts doesn't necessarily mean that you can breastfeed.
I think my cousin did say, because she's really busty, and she did have trouble, you know, breastfeeding, and she thought, because I have big boobs,
so
I should be able.
No, I know exactly what you mean. My friend had her daughter about 2 months before I had my son, and I went to see her when she had the baby, and hers was like overflow. She had to use breast pads. She'd take her bra off, and it would literally, I saw it shooting out. And I remember thinking, that's amazing. And for me, mine just seemed to be more of a trickle. And quite early on, her daughter was able to sleep through the night because she was so full. My son, every 2-3 hours, would be up because he's hungry again. You know what I mean? So it is different stroke for different folks. And you would assume, without the knowledge, that if you have bigger breasts, you're probably thinking, well, that could contain more milk. But I guess it doesn't really work like that, does it?
No, it doesn't. Okay, we need to go on a quick break, so we'll continue after the break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. This book. Even after touring many cities in the world, impacting lives, telling my story, I was still very ashamed. I was thinking to myself, what were people saying? What were people thinking? Certain people stayed away. I was ashamed. Until one day, I had a conversation with my mentor that changed everything for me. She said, Omi, the people who will hate your book are people who are angry because they feel that he saved you, but he did not save them. Then he hits me. He saved me. It hits me that regardless of what anybody thinks or says, he saved me. And he wants to save you too. The Richer Woman is my story, and I am ready to share it with the world. I would also like to give a new book to a university student for every book that is bought. Kindly support by buying a copy of The Richer Woman and change someone's life. Welcome back. We still have with us Titi and Dolapo. So, we're talking about women who struggle with breastfeeding or the flow of milk. What would you advise? What are practical things people can do to improve the flow of milk? I know, I remember when I was, breastfeeding, they would always say, drink ogi, drink ogi. What?
Yeah,
What would you
that
say?
one.
Did that work for you?
I didn't drink it.
Did that work for you?
I just drank it. I don't know if it worked, but I just did it.
My thing was I drank a lot of fluids.
Fluids, exactly.
But I think that was just to, I don't know whether it's my hormones, I was just thirsty. And then but I read about cabbage leaves.
Yeah, so
but I think that
cabbage
was to
leaves
do with
for
if it's
engorgement.
if it's engorged.
So you
then
make it
put-
into like soup or something?
No, you just take the
cold
leaves and
cabbage
then you
leaves.
put them on.
Oh, wow.
But I never
How
had
does
that.
that work?
Yes, it does.
How?
I don't know
Please
how do people
explain.
come up with this stuff or find
So
this
it's
out.
like, it's like the way you have like herbal stuff that have whatever it is that they do in the body. So first of all, the coolness of the leaf, and then it has some of its what's that thing called? Like some of its natural elements nutrients that
Okay.
would seep into and be absorbed by the skin and then release the ducts for the milk to flow.
Oh, wow. So what other ways can, apart from drinking ogi?
So you see, the thing with drinking ogi is that
So ogi is like
when
custard
you're-
for our viewers that
yeah.
are watching that.
don't know what it is.
Like local custard.
yeah. So the thing with that is that the reason why they say drink ogi is because they want you to be hydrated, because dehydration can actually like stop or reduce
flow.
lactation, as it were. But there are other things that you can eat. There are other natural things that you can, and there are even some medications that you can take. Remember, we're talking about people who haven't had a baby and they want to lactate and stuff.
I know.
So-
I was gonna. I mean, that was the next question I was gonna ask. That.
So yeah, so there are things that you can take. You can take oatmeal is very good for you. We have fenugreek seeds, very good for you. But we don't usually advise too much on fenugreek because it's a blood thinner. So you have to know where you're at. People that have diabetes and stuff like that. And Milkyexpress actually makes products that we have cookies, we have tea, we have granola, stuff that you can incorporate into your daily meal. That would help with your milk production.
So yes, I wanted to ask that question. Like, so you said you have clients that maybe have adopted, children, and they want to breastfeed. Is that actually possible?
Yes, it's possible. absolutely possible. Yes.
That they haven't had children.
Yes, they haven't had children and they want to breastfeed. Yes, I mean,
Because you
it's
think that
absolutely
normally,
possible.
you know, is after you have the baby, you've gotten pregnant, then it comes naturally. But they haven't gone through that process. So please tell us, how does it?
Okay.
Because I'm sure there are people that would benefit from
exactly.
this.
So for mothers who have maybe they're adopted or they had to use a surrogate, yes, it's absolutely possible, because the way breastfeeding works is, so when the placenta is ejected, right, it then triggers oxytocin and pitocin in your brain, or prolactin rather, that now causes your breast to begin to produce milk. So if there's another way to get those hormones to be in gear, we can get your breast to produce milk. Right? So they can take medications to build up those hormones, and then they would have to get on some sort of pumping or feeding schedule.
Okay.
Obviously, they're going to have to work hand in hand
flow.
with the lactation consultant. It will take a while. You know, if you're adopting or if you're using a surrogate, we would always advise that from the beginning of that pregnancy, you will start to take treatment from the beginning of, so that at the point where the baby is coming up, it will take about, say, 3 to 6, 7 months for you to really start to breastfeed, but it's very possible.
I mean, that is amazing.
It's very possible.
So
the human body it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, you know. And so even as we're talking about this, we're talking about breastfeeding, but for some people, like I'll say even myself, when I first, had my first child, I didn't even know why I needed to breastfeed. Do you understand? Maybe I thought, okay, actually, and they tell you Aptamil, the cost of Aptamil, and buying it from, I was like, okay, this breastfeeding, works. But when I started work after like 3 months, I think I breastfed her exclusively for 3 months. And by the 4th month, I did it for 1 other month, and that was it. And I said, this formula thing works. Somebody can even help me, So I didn't even try. Obviously, with information and awareness with my second, I did 7 months. And obviously, now that everyone's talking about it, because I think even when I had my first, I was the first in my group of friends, in my generation. So I really didn't have anyone to ask any questions. But I guess with my last now, I know the benefits, and I did it for 13 months. So what are the benefits? Why should I even breastfeed in the first place?
I mean, for me, when I was pregnant and I was doing my antenatal classes, this is in the UK, they kept going on about breast is best. There's actually a campaign that they have there that you should try as much to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months. And even if you can't do it exclusively, just still do it, even if you're supplementing with formula. Because, for example, what if you can't, the demand of your child is more than you're able to produce. Exactly. So at least even if you're doing half and half, that's still better. So it's about the natural antioxidants. It helps build your baby's immune system. And my friend even told me this, that when your baby is sick, the saliva that they produce does something, so it sort of changes your milk to help them. So that's why they say if your baby has a cold, continue to give breast milk and they'll get over it very, very quickly. And I have to say, my mom didn't breastfeed me, not because of whatever, but apparently I wasn't a milk child,
Also in their generation, apparently.
Exactly. It was
formula was
popular.
So it was more of a status thing.
And I really believe that I'm the kind of person, I get a cold very often. Honestly, even if, it doesn't matter if somebody has a cold near me or they don't, every 2 months, I just seem to feel run down and I tend to get a cold. And I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to try and do as much as I can. I mean, obviously not just about the cold, but if it's something that that can help with your child's immune system, then why not? And you're able to do it, then why not?
It's actually even more than the benefits of breastfeeding, as it were, but also there's benefits to the mother. As a breastfeeding mother, it actually reduces your chances of breast cancer.
Yes,
it's amazing for you. And the reason why we even really clamor for breastfeeding is not because we're trying to, obviously, it's the best for the baby, but permit me to say that formula producing companies have not been able to meet up with what breast milk can do. Breast milk has over 100 components. They're different things, from enzymes to hormones, everything, that the breast can offer the child that it cannot.
Earlier on, before the show, you were saying how it even changes as the child
Exactly. So as the child even
older.
progresses in age, it changes.
Wow.
So it never, the benefits of breast milk never, ever, ever runs out. No. Another thing is, we will always advise that you try to do exclusive for 6 months, because at 6 months is when we're sure that your baby's guts is able to accommodate and take in other things. You know, that the digestive system is strong
So
enough.
you shouldn't give them
You
amala
know?
for months.
No, so you shouldn't. So and it's amazing.
Sorry.
You shouldn't give them amala. You shouldn't give them pap that early. No. You still find people giving their baby pap at 3 months. No, because the baby's digestive system cannot handle it. They cannot handle it. How it works that? So when colostrum goes into the system, it sort of sticks around and lines the digestive system, you know, so it prepares it for other stuff, you know. So it's the benefit, like I said, it's you never ever ever run out of benefits, even in toddler years. So another thing is, people don't want to breastfeed toddlers. I breastfed my daughter until she was 2.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. That's not good. I mean, let me never say never, but
No, but I mean, it's not like
I'm not sure.
it's not like that's the only food they're gonna have.
No, of course. It's not.
Exactly.
It's
So,
solids, but
so why not? Because the benefits never ever run out. Never ever run out. I'm hoping that we can get to a place in Nigeria where we begin to use milk banks. You know, rather than offering, because you know, it's even pediatricians will tell you that it's still better for you to offer your baby another mother's breast milk than formula.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. You know, okay, so let's talk about formula. Is it okay to resort to formula if you're having issues with breastfeeding?
Of course, it's okay. I mean, the baby has to eat, right? So yes, it's okay if you're having issues. It's okay to offer formula, but it's not okay to give up. Don't give up. You know, don't give up. Still try. Keep at it. Keep at it. Keep at it.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm asking also is because some people feel guilty, you know, am I not? Or some people make you feel, you know, lazy, and then because of that, then you end up starving your child, because you do, as a mother, I don't think any woman doesn't want to give her child the best. You want to give your child the best, but then you find that you end up starving your child. So when do we know that, okay, you know what, you have to draw the line here. You're now starving your child. Give your child formula. Or, you know what, no, keep trying. I mean, what's the borderline?
Okay, so it will differ for people. So when we have that's at Milkyexpress, when we have consults with new mothers, first of all, it's really sad that there's no form of continuation in this form of you know how you have antenatal when you're pregnant. So there's no exactly.
Yes.
So then there's no checkup or no continuing checks on the mother after the baby has come. You know, so
especially in this.
Well, I was
exactly.
going to say, it depends on where you are.
Where you are.
Yeah.
Well, in Nigeria, obviously,
In Nigeria,
I'm focused here
yeah.
on Nigeria. So what we do at Milkyexpress is that when we have a mother who comes in, we want to first of all weigh the baby. We want to weigh the baby. We're going to take off everything the baby is wearing. We're going to weigh the baby. We're going to have the mother feed. We're going to see how she feeds, how long she feeds for. And then afterwards, we're going to weigh the baby. We're going to see how much output she has, how much output the baby has, wet diapers, poop, and things like that. So all of that, based on that assessment, then we can say, okay, you know what, you have to give the baby formula ASAP. Or you know what, you can keep trying. Your baby is still doing okay. You can keep at it, it will get better. So you always have to assess every mother's current situation before you can advise.
I mean, when you were mentioning in your introduction about, you know, is it, if no one wants to starve their baby and that kind of thing, but we said this before the cameras are rolling about how I have a vlog that I was talking about. I was on a flight and I had expressed breast milk in a bottle because at the time my son was like 8 weeks or something, and I was coming back to Nigeria, and it helps him sleep better at night when he just gets a big inflow, because on the breast he sleeps. So I have to like exactly take his clothes off, make sure he stays awake so that he has a proper feed. So anyway, and I was just like, I'm not going to be doing that on a flight, so let me just put everything in a bottle so he will sleep better and all of that, and he'll get more milk. And then there was a lady that was, you know, basically nosy and was saying, why aren't you feeding him breast milk? Why aren't you feeding him breast milk? And I feel like there's that shame element if you've chosen, or you haven't even chosen, like you don't have enough milk and you need to give your child formula. I feel like some people feel bad because other people might shame them into thinking, well, you're not doing your duty as a mother because you're not producing enough milk. But if your body's not doing a certain thing, or you don't have the knowledge, you know, or you don't know about Milkyexpress, or you don't know that you can take this thing, or you can use cabbage leaves or whatever, then you have to do what you have to do for your child. No one wants their child to starve. So, you know, and formula is not going to kill your child. Everyone's giving their child formula. So
I think as a mother, as a new mother already, the pressure is a lot. You are already putting pressure on yourself to be somewhat, or to be like this. I have to be like this. Especially if you can imagine if you've had the whole thing planned out. Oh, I'm going to have a natural delivery. I'm going to do this and that. And then you end up having a C-section.
Exactly.
You know, so you're first of all dealing with yourself like, oh, why? What happened? What went wrong? What didn't I do right? You know? And then you're trying to breastfeed, which is, it's a natural thing, but it's not as easy. It's not as natural, you know? So why so much pressure? We know that, yes, breast is best. But if it's not possible, let's try to encourage. Yes, get help. That's why Milkyexpress is here. Get help, or let's try to encourage, you know, new mothers. Let's just try to give them a break, give them time.
It's that whole thing about our culture. Don't tell anyone. They're going to think you're crazy. They're going to send you to the madhouse, that kind of thing. But it's very, very, I think it's very, very real. I haven't suffered from it, but I did suffer from baby blues. And I think maybe every mother suffers from it. There was just a point where I was just sad, irritated. Like I just, you know, I was in pain from my C-section. I was tired. I wasn't sleeping. You know, you have to feed your baby every 2 hours at the beginning. So there was just a couple of days I was just down in the dumps, you know. But I did interview a lady recently who told me about her postpartum depression, and she said she just felt like she couldn't get out of the bed. She felt like something was weighing her down, and this was with her third child, and she knew there was a problem because it didn't happen with her first two. And it was news to me because I just thought, okay, if you're going to get it, won't you get it with your first child? How is it that she didn't get it with her first two, but it happened with her third one? So she was even educating me on the fact that it can happen with any child. It doesn't have to be your first, second, whatever, you know. So I would say with that, about, I don't know, maybe you can tell us about how people get help, but I would say it's about voicing it and about telling someone what you're going through and seeking help, definitely.
Yeah, so obviously it's very important. If you don't voice it, you can't get help. You know, so talk about it, speak to somebody about it. So as lactation consultants, we're also trained in a bit of psychology. So we're talking to you, we're asking you, what exactly is the problem? Are you getting help at home? What do you do? Tell me what your day is like. You know, from conversations like that, you can realize that, okay, this and this is happening, and then we now invite the spouse or family member. Because, I mean, postpartum depression is real. It's really, really real, and it's really, really bad, and it's really, really sad that a lot of people pass through it and they don't know. People start having suicidal thoughts, you know. People don't even have good thoughts towards their babies, you know, and we don't want to wait till you get to a point where you're beginning to think suicidal, or to even harm your baby, or resent your child, exactly. But it happens because guess what? It's all about hormones. It's everywhere. You know, you just had a baby, your hormones are crazy. You know, so until the mother talks about it, until she talks about it, and because, you know, another thing is people who have issues breastfeeding and the onset would most likely have postpartum depression because of the shame that they feel, or because they feel inadequate, because of the guilt, you know. So, I mean, it happens. Postpartum depression is real. It happens. You just have to talk about it. Talk to somebody about it. Seek family. Stay with family. You can even speak to your doctor about it. They would advise you on who to see, you know. But always talk about it. That's the best. That's the best and the most important step that you should take, is to talk about it.
So thank you very much. I really enjoyed this episode. So if you're a mother and you're struggling with breastfeeding, or you want more information about breastfeeding, or you know someone that needs information, please reach out to Titi Milkyexpress, not Milky Way. And, you know, if you're a new mother, watch Dolapo's blog series. I mean, you can learn a lot. You can see that you're not alone. And I'm sure if you reach out to her, send her a DM or a message, you know, then she'll answer your questions. But the thing is that, remember that, you know, as a woman, we face different types of issues. Don't feel guilty. Don't let anyone shame you. We're all going through it. The most important thing is get help. Thank you very much. Until next week, stay blessed.